Here to discuss two proposals that would tighten current domestic violence laws, we have Senator Vicky Jensen. Thanks for joining us, Senator.
Great to be here.
Senator, first of all, let's talk about the two proposals that were introduced and how do you think they're going to impact the overall safety of victims of domestic violence?
Sure, there are two proposals. One deals with victims that someone has been incarcerated and served their time and they're going to be released. And basically, right now, currently, you are notified when they're going to be released, but you don't know where they're going. And how that would impact and help is that the person, the victim, has to set a safety plan for themselves. And if they don't know where the person is going to be, then their safety plan looks much different, and it's a lot harder for them to continue and go on with their life without having that ability to set a safety plan where they feel safe. Now, the other one has to do with when there is a situation and someone is called, the police come, and the person is gone from the scene. Current law says that if it's a certain offense, if it's a felony, or if it's a certain offense with an order of protection, that you have the ability to arrest without a warrant. And other ones, a gross misdemeanor, you would have only 24 hours to do that. And what that legislation would do would change that so that all of them, you would be able to do a warrantless arrest. And it makes it a lot easier for the victim, it makes it easier for law enforcement, and then there can't be this ability for the person that's gone at the scene to avoid being arrested just by hiding out. I mean, they can be gone for 24 hours and then they can come back and...
And Senator, when I was reading up a little bit about your passion for this legislation, you work very closely with the Minnesota Coalition for Battered Women. Why is this such a personal issue for you?
You know, I experienced it personally, not myself, but within my family. And you can't describe what it's like to have the feeling that you could have, should have, what could I have done? And then the knowledge that when you're in that situation, you remove yourself from your friends, your family, and you're basically all alone. And that's the way that situation works. I worked for a long time after my sister was in a situation where her house exploded and she was burned 90% of her body, and her significant other was arrested and put on trial for attempted murder. He was found innocent, but he had had several orders of protection put against him. He had served time in jail for domestic violence offenses. So to come to the understanding as a family member that there has to be some of that protection and safety for that person, especially at a time when they decide to leave, and that's when it happened for her as well.
And Senator, 37 Minnesota women and men died last year because of domestic violence. Where does this legislation, these two pieces of legislation, fit in with the overall impact on keeping victims, potential victims, safe and maybe lowering that rate?
And like I said, you do isolate yourself, and that's why you end up, I think, in a lot of the situation you're in when you try to get out. And having organizations like the Minnesota Coalition for Battered Women and local communities that really try to get information out so that people know that they're not alone and that they don't have to endure this alone, and that the safety measures that we put in public safety for police are there to try to protect, but we also have to make sure that due process is followed. That has to be kept in mind as well, and that's what we're trying to do in this legislation. But if we can get that information out to women and men, that they have somewhere to go, that they can trust somebody and somebody will help them make these safety plans, that someone will go out and try to put somebody off of the street that is committing domestic violence, it will be better for them, and they'll be able to become a more productive person in the community, and their kids as well if they have kids.
And there's strong bipartisan support for both of these proposals. Do you have any intention of working with the Minnesota Coalition for Battered Women to advance this or create other pieces of legislation?
Absolutely. I think we have to have advocates at all levels in order for there to be real substantive change, especially how we talk about it. And that it's not something that should be kept secret. We have to let people know that this happens. And I'm hoping that there are other things, other legislation that will help, because there is a whole range of things that need to be looked at. And mental health, I think, is one of the big ones. And this ties in, I think, really well to some of that, because you're not healthy if you're having these kinds of situations happen, whether you're the abuser or the victim.
Okay, Senator Jensen, we will of course track your legislation and any future proposals as well. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you.